Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Quick reminder before we start this video, I will be having a live stream later on this afternoon, 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, so hope to see you there. Tucker Carlson went to Russia and he went grocery shopping for 1 week's worth of food for him and his crew, and this is what he found. Please share this video, please like it, ladies and gentlemen. Most important thing really is to let it play all the way through.
So we're going to try and buy what a family of four would buy every week, and we're going to see what the selection is, and we're going to see what it costs. Now, Russia is famous for its bread, which is one thing I can assess pretty well. The low-carb lifestyle has not swept Russia. Thank heaven, because I mean, look at that. It's fresh, too. Look at that. Oh, come on. Unicorn and mini mills. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. We all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. Wow. And that's when you start to realize if you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, filth and crime could lead to higher prices for various reasons. Maybe a store has to hire more security. Maybe they have to bring up their prices because they're losing a lot of product. Maybe a store, a supermarket closes its chain in a particular area because there's too much crime, etc. But today I want to talk to you about inflation and why it's so important that we all understand this. I've been watching a few of the videos that are put out from like TikTok where people are complaining about inflation, but it seems that not too many people know exactly what it is. They get the word inflation confused with the price of things going up. When the price of things go up, that is a symptom of what inflation produces, ladies and gentlemen. So on this video, I am going to explain to you very plainly the main reason why prices inflate.
I'm on here because I've had enough. And I don't think I'm the only person. I cannot be the only person.
The cost of living, it's officially become the cost of survival.
How do they think we're going to keep surviving like this? Are you kidding me?
This is for the parents of older kids, like 8-year-olds plus, and I mean this in the sincerest way. Are you guys okay? Mexican tonight, so think like black beans and diced tomatoes and corn out of a tin, like things that are meant to not cost a lot of money. And I walked out of there spending $82 and I came out of there with one meal.
Now, I don't know exactly why it is that over in Russia, it's so much cheaper to eat than it is here in the United States of America, and as you saw in the UK as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to concentrate on why it is so expensive to eat here in the United States or whatever country it is that you live in. I don't want to talk about Russia today. I want to talk about the United States of America and why it is that people are barely surviving, why your standard of living is being reduced so dramatically. And the answer is so simple that this is why this video will not be pushed by the YouTube algorithm, because the government does not want the people to know. It's why it's not taught in schools. Heck, it's why it's not taught in colleges. Go to a bank and ask someone what is inflation. They won't even be able to tell you. And if they know, they're probably in upper management and they don't want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to become somewhat educated in what it is. That way you can protect yourselves against it.
I am so tired of it not being no food. I literally just spent $338 on groceries 10 days ago, y'all. 10 days ago. Ain't no biscuits, ain't no bread, ain't no sausage, ain't no bacon, ain't no water.
Now I'm going to give you a very good example, and I hope that you stick with me on this video, because if you don't know exactly why it is that the price of things go up, or the main reason that is because there is supply and demand, right? If you want something enough and there's not enough of it, the price is going to go up. But generally, when there is inflation in the price of things, meaning that the price of things go up, it's usually across the board. Not everything goes up the exact same percentage, but almost everything goes up a percentage when there is inflation of the money supply. What does that mean, AP? That there is inflation of the money supply? Well, let me give you a great example. I'm not flexing by showing you my $5 $20 bills, but this is what we're going to use as an example today, ladies and gentlemen, because if you know this and you pass this information that I'm about to give you onto your children, and even better, if you further do a little bit of research, you will be so much better off financially in the long term, and so will your children. And the government will not like you for it because they will not be able to continue to steal your wealth from under you. Anyways, this is what most people consider money. Why is this money? To me, this is money. You know why? Because I earned this money into existence. So when you go out there and you labor, you earn this into existence. Let's say that you make 25 bucks an hour, and then after taxes, it's like $20 an hour, let's say. Just making up numbers. So let's say that you worked 5 hours for 5 $20 bills. Well, you've already been taxed 20% on those 5 hours, but we won't talk about the tax because that is something that the government does in plain sight. So meaning that when you go to work, you know you're going to have to give up of your time in order to walk out of that job with some fiat currency that you can use to go buy stuff and support your standard of living, i.e. have housing, have a car, put fuel in your car, get food, get clothes for your family, etc. Okay, so you, ladies and gentlemen, being a laborer, a person that earns a wage, has to work your money, all right? Because I believe that when you work and you get this in hopes that you can trade it for something else that has more value to you, that this is money, right? Because you earned it into existence. So now let's say that this is all of the money in the economy. Keeping it really simple, but remember, I hope that you go do your own research. And the government said, you know what? The 20% that I've been taxing you is just not enough. But I think that if I increase your taxes, that you, Mr. and Mrs. Citizen, are not going to like it very much, and you may not re-elect me into power, right? So they say, how else can we get more money in order to be able to do what we want without the people really knowing or having a say in it? What do, ladies and gentlemen? They print money. Have you ever heard that term, print money out of thin air? They don't technically print money out of thin air, right? But it's just a term that we use. What it means is that they create fiat currency. When they create it, it is fiat currency, and I'm going to tell you why. But when we say they printed money out of thin air, we can be talking about quantitative easing. Remember all of those stimulus payments that we received as a nation, and probably a lot of the world during the health crisis? Anima stimulus check, yeah. Anima stimulus check, yeah. That was quantitative easing. That was them printing money out of thin air. Now, why is it called printing money out of thin air? This is why. Because when you earn your money, you had to give of your labor. So your labor is what gave this worth. You earned it into existence. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? When the government practices what's called quantitative easing or printing money out of thin air, no one had to work for it. The government said, this is what we're going to do. They printed another $5 $20 bills. And they put it out into the economy by spending it. Now, in the economy, ladies and gentlemen, there's $10 $20 bills. Have you ever heard that the more of something that there is, that the less it is valued? Same thing with your dollars. So the point is that you have to earn your dollars. You have to go out and labor and exchange your time, your skill for those dollars. And then you get your dollars after you earn them, and you go buy a box of cereal for $5, let's say. But then the government says, man, we can't tax the people anymore. And you're like, well, Mr. Government, we already paid taxes. Here I'm spending what I got after I paid taxes. So please don't tax us anymore, or I'm not going to vote you into office next time. And the government says, man, what are we going to do? Let's print money out of thin air. And you can all thank pretty much Richard Nixon for allowing the Federal Reserve to have as much power as it has today over our economy. But I digress. I always have to have at least one I digress in a video, ladies and gentlemen, right? So when they print money out of thin air, like in the last 3 or 4 years, the government pretty much printed about 40, close to 50% of all of the money that's ever existed in the United States in the history of our nation. What's going to happen? That $5 box of cereal is going to cost a lot more than what it cost before they printed that extra money into thin air.
I'm fed up with how much it costs to eat. It's just ridiculous how much money you got to spend on food. I don't even want to be hungry no more.
Are you guys okay?
So where does the $5 $20 bills that the government printed out of thin air get its value? It gets it out of the $5 $20 bills that you, Mr. and Mrs. Citizen, put into the economy by earning it into existence. Man, I really hope that makes some sense. Pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, whenever the government prints money out of thin air, what it's doing is it's taxing you without asking your permission. It's taking from you your purchasing power. It's taking from you the money that you earned years ago, put in savings, and now you get to buy 1/10 of what you were able to buy when you initially earned that money. Throughout your working life, the government, through taxation and inflation, will have taken from you about 70% of the money that you earned into existence. And most of that, ladies and gentlemen, is through inflation. And they do it that way because most people don't understand how inflation works. I hope that you got something out of this. I truly do. And I hope that you do more research. And I hope that you understand that this right here, this is just temporary. Eventually, they will be worth a heck of a lot less than what they are worth when you earned it. It's happened throughout the history of time. Ever since the year 1060, I believe, which is when China invented the first fiat currency, not one fiat currency has ever survived the test of time. Every single one has gone to zero. And what do you think is going to happen to the Federal Reserve note? It's going to go to zero, just like every one of them has. So protect yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't protect yourselves, there's not going to be anyone there to help you when you really need it. One of the best ways that I like to protect myself is precious metals. But first and foremost, I like to have a full pantry that can get my family and myself through a rough patch. I like to have real things, tools, things that you're going to use. Let me tell you a quick story, all right, since I haven't included a story in this video. Here, a couple of weeks ago, we were having a really cold spell here in Fairbanks, Alaska. And here where I live, it got up to as cold as like -45 degrees Fahrenheit. I went to pump water into my holding tank under my house. And when I grabbed the hose to connect it to the transfer tank in my truck, the hose broke in half. I've had that hose for years. It broke right in half because it was so cold. But what did I do? I said, think, AP, think. Where do you have the parts that you need in order to fix this in a hurry? Because at -45, no matter if you have a 200-gallon holding tank in the back of your truck or transfer tank, it's pretty iffy whether the parts in the valve are going to freeze or not. Okay, so I have to think. I'm like, wait a minute, I got extra parts for these. I can go ahead and get these extra parts. I can put it on there real quick just to get that water out of my transfer tank, and then I can fix it really good inside the house when it thaws out. That's called being prepared, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not saying that I'm the best prepper in the world. I'm not. I like to have things that I know will add value to my life. And I'll tell you what, having those little couplings at that time added a whole bunch of value to my life in that instance. Because the alternative would have been that I had to dump all of that water. And that would have been a wasted trip, wasted money, wasted water. But I had a $2 part that I had put away years ago. And it ended up saving the day in that instance. Again, I hope you got something out of this. Please share this video. Please like it, ladies and gentlemen. Most important thing, really, is to let it play all the way through. And if you haven't watched my Prepping on the Cheap series, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and check it out. I just put out a new video yesterday, and I think that they're very good videos showing you how you can get equipment and prepping stuff that are just as good as the fancy things, but at a fraction of the cost. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.